This episode of the Coarse Grind Podcast has been brought to you by Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, family-owned and operated screen printing and embroidery business located in a historic storefront on Old Berwick Road in the heart of Espy. They've been doing screen printing for over 20 years. They have high-quality product at a low price. Be sure to check them out. Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, 570-784-1212. Now, on to the show.
This is Tim Boach from the Barbarian Q with Shawn Rosler and the Coarse Grind Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, episode number 152. See, I told you I took a break, but I'm not taking much of one because I gotta get back to it. With you as always, host creator Shawn Rosler here on the Coarse Grind Podcast. How is everyone doing this evening? You know, this pandemic has really brought out some of the most awesome features of humanity. Even before this holiday season got underway, and coincidentally in line with the beginning of my illustrious journey into the void of hot sauce creation, which I won't bore you with, but my stomach is certainly traumatized with by now, I encountered a guy who, on the surface, seemed like he just had a bunch of hot peppers to share, and boy, was I wrong. And tonight, you're going to get the chance to find out just how wrong I was. Tonight's guest hails from Florida, which we'll preemptively forgive him for. Lake County, to be specific, which he moved back up to the central Pennsylvania area after he graduated high school. He then moved back to Florida to work at Gatorland. That's pretty rad, right? Where he met the distillery owner from Highmark in Alaska. After discussing distilling and clearly having a love for it, who doesn't, he came back to PA, we'll nickname him Ping Pong Ball for now, where he's been ever since, rocking the distillation and hot sauce scene, not to mention being a super proud dad. Now, I don't typically let guests write their own intros, but hell if I wasn't impressed on how this guy wrapped it up, so here goes. I wrecked cars, sank boats, ran across quicksand pits, been in rodeo since I was old enough to walk, really. Lived in cowboy boots my whole life and always got treated different for being the weird cowboy. Granddad was a graduated chef, and while I was young, he taught me everything he knew. I'm just a home chef, but I love experimenting and creating art and food. I've had the opportunity to not only taste this guy's wares, which we're going to do here on the show tonight, but also receive his kindness. And I gotta say, the world could use a whole hell of a lot more like him. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, lifelong journeyman and fellow booze and pepper aficionado, the Big Mitch Miller. What is going on, sir? Good evening.
Good evening. How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks so much for taking the time. I know you were in car battery hell this evening, but better you than me, because as we shared and as I've shared before, I don't do well with anything mechanical. That's just gonna be the way it goes, no matter what. So thanks for coming on. Thanks for being who you are. And this is where I got to take a sidestep, because people will say, well, what's your genre? And I'll say culinary, and they're like, oh yeah, chefs, right? And I'm like, no, not just. I mean, yes, they make great guests. You know that they have great stories, but you know who else does? The people making hot sauce. The people making beer, like yours truly, like in this little alcove of a little corner of a little place in the house and putting their love into it. And that's where I met this cat. And so, like, folks listening at home, this is why people like Mitch Miller will move the culinary dial just as much as your next top chef. So, there we go. Soapbox put away. But I cannot wait to dive into your story. For folks new to the program, folks with terrible short-term memories like yours truly, starters, mains, and afters. Starters, we're going to talk about the guest in question, where they came from, or like what brought them to where they're at. Mains, we're going to talk about where they're at, what they're doing. And finally, afters, a little bit more irreverent, a little bit more off the cuff, but no one has been injured in 151 episodes. Hard to believe, right? So I don't see that happening tonight. So, Mr. Big Mitch Miller, talk to me. You know, obviously here you are in distilling and hot sauce, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But talk to me about what you grew up eating. What were your childhood foods, man?
Well, growing up with my granddad, We took to the kitchen pretty early.
Mm-hmm.
He had me pulling stuff out of the oven when the oven mitts came all the way up to my armpits.
Nice.
He had a Pennsylvania Dutch style of cooking,
Nice.
but he also did a lot of Creole, down south Cajun style.
Okay.
So there was a mix between, and for the most part, it was unique.
Yeah, and doesn't that line up actually with just about the time frame where Justin Wilson, the famous Cajun TV chef, was probably on air? So I got to imagine he was gleaning some stuff from that, which is awesome. And those of you that know, my wife comes from a Pennsylvania Dutch background, and let's be fair, PA Dutch food sometimes needs a little kick in the ass. So what a wonderful combination to make there, right?
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Safe to say that you were not a picky eater growing up, or were you pretty picky?
I was only picky when it came to going to friends' houses.
Okay.
Because I knew what I expected at home, and it wasn't delivered.
Oh. So you were a diva before diva was really a term. Is that what I'm hearing?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's awesome. Having a granddad who is a, graduated chef and, PA Dutch and Creole, that's got to be a great combo. Look back at that and tell me about one or two of the dishes that, he would make and you still look back at and go, God damn, if only one more time.
Well, one of the dishes that we had a lot of is actually adapted in Pennsylvania, but I believe it's Russian of some sort. I'm not really sure where it came from, but it's porcupine meatballs.
Now, okay, I do know about this, but describe them to folks at home.
Porcupine meatballs are basically a ground beef meatball. My grandfather would use multiple different meats all together ground. And it's cooked in a tomato sauce or a tomato soup of some sort. And it involves rolling and completely incorporating rice into the meatball and the sauce.
So just because I knew I had heard of him before, I had to look him up. One of the places that we first see porcupine meatballs for folks who are of the historical aspect is actually during the Great Depression.
Yes.
I'm gonna lift heavily from the wiki real quick. Porcupine meatballs are an American dish of ground beef and rice meatballs cooked in a tomato sauce. Because what do? In a time where things were maybe a little more scarce, we put a grain in which is cheaper to expand the meat. Same thing with a, tuna salad, with, anything that's quote unquote saladed out. Staple during Great Depression, few basic ingredients: ground beef, uncooked long grain rice, onion, canned tomato soup. Name comes from the appearance, obviously. Porcupine meatballs, rather, can be made in the slow cooker or baked. Duh. Yes. I'm trying to find the history here. Here we go. Dish continued to be popular through the 1970s and beyond, because, I've heard of it. You obviously had it. Chinois meatballs are ground pound. I'm just looking real quick. Folks at home, if you want to play along, Google porcupine meatballs and open that Wikipedia. So, yeah, I mean, there's a Chinese variant on it, which is the porcupine meatballs chinois, a variation influenced by Chinese cooking techniques, served with peach sauce. Chinois meatballs are ground pork, shrimp, rice, and green onion. But, there again, it's obviously, it's incorporating cheap grain, root vegetable, ground meat, and some kind of an acid, whether it be tomato or peach. So that makes a lot of sense. And isn't it funny that those dishes are the ones that kind of leave that hole in your heart? They might not have been remarkable, but it's damn, there's something about them that you miss.
Yeah, another dish that he did was the Italian ices, and he would make them by putting the slurry mixture into the ice box, taking it out every hour and stirring it so that it would never solidify. It would always be that rich, just powdery snow.
Damn, is that dedication. I mean, I got to be honest. I made, what did I make? Watermelon sorbet over last summer. And, you know, I just put the tub in the freezer. I'm like, all right, I'm going to pull it off and shave it off the top. And what happens when you do that? Well, the slurry separates a little bit. The water content rises and becomes ice and a hard layer thereof. And then all your good shit is underneath. So, you know, credit to the old folk, man. They do it right. So, well done. You know, the next question kind of seems like a softball at this point because he's kind of who we've been talking about. But safe to say that Granddad was your greatest culinary influence?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. What if you had to name a trait about him that you've adopted into yourself, what would that be? What about him do you strive to be the most?
Don't take no shit.
I like that. DTNS, people. DTNS. Do not take no shit. But it's true because, you know, people will come into your space, in your kitchen, and be like, oh, well, hey, you know what I like to do with that? And while I'm always down for listening, like if you're in my space, take a step back. Maybe 2. Maybe 3, depending on the mood I'm in. But don't take no shit. I like that a lot. And obviously, Granddad, God, he sounds like a hell of a guy. Talk to me. So you're growing up and you have this wonderful, iconic figure in your life. Granddad, chef, food, culinary, Epicurean, gastronome. All this is happening for you. When did you realize, though, you know, and this is such an interesting question to ask somebody who, like, you know, you didn't necessarily make it your life's pursuit, but like me, you know, here I am hosting the show for 6 years. You know, I didn't take a career in culinary, but obviously at some point early on, food mattered more than just insert, absorb energy, excrete. So when did you realize food was more than just sustaining your life cycle? When did you realize it meant more than that?
Well, the moment that it really hit me that it meant more than just sustenance was when my grandfather passed. When he passed away, I had every one of his recipes except his beef jerky. And that was the one thing that I wanted my entire life. It was the best jerky I had ever had, even to this day. Yeah. So I just went after it to try to figure it out. Yeah. And that's what drove me into the side of culinary that I'm in now.
That's awesome. And isn't it, goddamn, it's funny how it's never, I don't want to say the high point, because obviously like that is the high point. And, you know, obviously the pizza place in Honesdale down at the other end of Main Street that closed when I was in 6th grade wasn't like the high point. It wasn't any kind of remarkable, but god damn it if I don't sit here and think, how did they make it in that way? And you try, right? And you grind on that. You grind on that, hoping to recreate it. And you might get close. But I gotta ask, have you gotten there yet with the jerky or no?
Absolutely not.
Good. Like, good. And I say that with all the love in my heart. Good, because if you did, then I think it would lose the meaning that it has. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad you failed, Mitch. How about that? There you go. So that's so cool. You know, again, it's such kind of a different episode, different vibe. And I feel the need to like bring this out. Like, this is why food matters. This is when people ask me why I do the show. These are the conversations that matter just as much on the whole other end of the scale. Tell me about what made you happy growing up. Tell me about what made you realize food matters. You know, because I'm gonna take a guess here. I'm gonna go out on a limb. You tell me if I'm right or wrong. When you go out to eat, you are incredibly kind to the waitstaff and incredibly complimentary if the meal is good. True or false?
True, because I've been in their shoes.
Exactly. I mean, I've been in their shoes, but beyond that, knowing that food matters, knowing that food can touch you in a deep, like, soulful way, that's so key. So that's awesome. Again, your granddad sounds like an amazing human being, and he, I think he would have made a hell of a guest on the show. I'm going to put that out there. So if we're ever having a seance, man, I'm bringing you. and we're gonna I love to talk to him.
Awesome.
So let's fast forward then. So here you are, you find the Food Matters, and you're doing all this cool stuff. And then you get tied up with two loves, if I may. Hot sauce and moonshine. True story?
Kind of. Moonshine came first.
Moonshine came first. How did you come into moonshine? Talk to me about that.
We've had family for years that have made it. Most of my family's been on the other side of the law, as some of them like to admit and some of them like to deny.
Yep.
I've been the cover of the book, and
okay.
The people are not getting to see the pages.
Okay. I got you. And nor should they.
What I want.
Okay. So, for those listening at home who might not be well-versed enough in the boozy arts, can you explain what constitutes moonshine? What makes moonshine different from, say, whiskey or a bourbon or a scotch?
Well, moonshine itself is a term adapted from Appalachia. Mm-hmm. The people of the hills, them hillbillies. It is a term known only because they would distill it under the light of the moon. Mm-hmm. It is illegal, which is why it is still kind of a secretive art.
Yep.
Traditional moonshine is not what you see in the stores. Mm-hmm. It is pure, it is clean, and it is deadly alcohol that comes straight off the still. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A whiskey, a scotch, things of that nature are aged. Mm-hmm. Other types of alcohol, if you were to use a moonshine still, say for peaches, mm-hmm. that would actually be a brandy, not a moonshine. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Moonshine is traditionally corn-based.
Gotcha.
And comes out real
hot. And isn't the nickname for it White Lightning for that very reason?
White Lightning, Rot Gut, Painter's Piss. There's tons of nicknames.
That's awesome. And all right, so I'm going to ask you to break down the third wall here. Talk to me about the show Moonshiners. Legit or no?
Honestly, I think they are legit. Mm-hmm. They are old school guys. They mm-hmm. do it traditional ways. Mm-hmm. I just think that they have adapted their ways and paid their tax stamps. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that Big Daddy government doesn't come knocking on their door.
Right. And, and that's why they have a documentary crew out in the woods with them. Let's be honest. Like, that's not flying under any radar. They got to get licenses and shit for that. So, all right, cool. So the moonshine happens, and you get hooked up with Highmark, which, if I may spoiler alert a little bit, we've opened the door there, and we're going to be having Highmark on the show here in a little bit. But how did that connection happen?
Well, at the end of the day, I was working at Gatorland. I was security, and we had to do a sweep and get everybody out of the park. And I had just happened to run into them. They were one of the last families in the park, mm-hmm. and we started talking.
Nice.
And that's where it turned out that she ended up giving me her card and said, hey, if you'd like to talk a little more moonshine, just give me a holler.
Beautiful. And this is exactly what I'm saying, folks. You never know when you're going to make a contact. When I reached out to the Facebook community, I didn't know Mitch at this point. I said, hey, does anybody have some spare hot peppers? Just kind of looking to, honestly, COVID made me a maker. I've said it for the past, 8 episodes. And, I'm just like, hey, I'm just looking to make this. Here's this dude that comes in with a big Superman cape. I mean, a big Superman cape. If you see him, you're going to know, man. You cannot miss Big Mitch. He's an imposing figure. And that's just how stuff works sometimes. So here's Mitch at Gatorland. Here's me just hollering out to Facebook Void. and ta-da, here we are today. So that's awesome. And again, I can't wait to have Highmark Distillery on the show here in a little bit. Shift gears, hot sauce. This is how I got to know you. What was it about hot sauce that like keyed you up? Like what made it happen for you?
Well, once I moved up here, I started eating all these nice starchy German and Dutch foods and just kind of got all plump and sassy.
All right, I got you.
And went to the doctors, and the doctor said, well, you're fat. So I said, all right, I'm going to see if I can find something that's a little more healthy. The doctor actually told me, if you want to be a little healthy, eat the healthy stuff, but put hot sauce on it. Yep. Because hot sauce makes everything taste good.
That's true. Is that not the truth?
Absolutely.
And so was that really what kickstarted your foray into the hot sauce arts?
To get me started, yes, but I've been a hot sauce lover since I was young.
Okay. All right. So it wasn't totally that, but this definitely helped push the envelope to where now, and again, I'm going to dote on you because you're awesome. I'm getting stuff in the friggin' mail left, right, and sideways from people like Hanks and then Island Harmony and all these people. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what am I doing? But the hot sauce community is really a thing, right? Like, it's pretty amazing.
Absolutely. Some of the best people on earth.
Fair enough. I'm not gonna argue that with you. And so to that point, Mr. Man, quick question before I probably hurt my mouth and then my nether regions in the morning. How long would you say you've been making hot sauces now?
From first experiment, probably 8 years.
Okay. All right. That's pretty amazing. I'm in it maybe 2 or 3. So always willing to learn. Good to know. And so on the heel end of that 8 years, what I'm holding in my hand here is a mango habanero Scotch bonnet sauce, which I'm about to dab onto a pretzel nugget and hopefully not die. I don't think I will, because the Reapers, the smoked Reapers that I got from Danica Angstad. Danica, if you're listening, thank you for those. They've definitely kind of trained me in. But to your point, man, she thick. All right, let me work her around a little bit here. Talk to me about what's in this, buddy.
Well, it is one of my latest little creations. I used a block of mango paste.
Okay.
And I did not add any sweetness. I used fresh habaneros. I used dried, rehydrated Scotch bonnets.
Okay.
Very little water. Some vinegar for the acidity.
Mm-hmm.
It's sitting about where I want it, but it needs a little bit more. I do have carrots as a base in this sauce and onion.
I love it. Yeah, because you can definitely smell the base. Listeners at home, folks into the ASMR thing, I'm smelling. There's definitely a carrot onion base. I hate ASMR. I don't get it. If you get it, message the show. Talk to me about it, because I have no clue. But definitely the carrot onion base rings through. The mango sweetness is there, but it's not overwhelming, which I love. And then you can definitely smell the hell coming through with the Scotch bonnet and the habanero. So in any case, I probably got about, half a teaspoon on the pretzel. And I'm just going all in. Drink is ready. Here we go. That's more ASMR, people.
It's a creeping heat.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, it hit on touchdown, and now I'm feeling it walk around my mouth.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice, though.
It's not...
Dude, that's so good.
It's not to the point where you're going to, dive into a bucket of ice cream, but it's got heat.
It's got heat. Here's what I love about that. One, it's pasty, not saucy. I love that. That's a talent, because all of my stuff comes out a little bit runny, and I can't quite yet tighten it up. I'm going to try to keep talking like on hot ones, because that's going to help me right now. But no, honestly, I mean, heat-wise, impact in the mouth, I don't know, It's about a 4 or 5 out of 10. Like, it's not painful. But what it is flavorful. It's really flavorful. The mango comes through without being that obnoxious Truly or White Claw mango nonsense. People at home know what I'm talking about. The fake mango sweet bullshit. Like, I hate that. The bonnet and the habanero come through kind of hand in hand, honestly. Like, neither one is leading the other, but you can get the bonnet, you can get the habanero. It's really freaking good, dude. That's amazing, actually.
Thank you.
So, safe to, again, pull back the third wall and say that maybe there's someone who wants to work with you on this?
I am currently talking with the owner and head sauce maker of Island Harmony, and hopefully we'll be doing a collaboration very soon.
That's awesome. Island Harmony, folks, if you want to check it out, we did a CGPC Tries It with Island Harmony right up in the CGPC kitchen. So look back a couple episodes, you'll see me tormenting my 10-year-old at the time son. Now he's 11, which is crazy for me to even think about. But anyway, we worked through the sauces, and they were good for sure. So Island Harmony, great sauce. I mean, great quality overall. And I think the mango habanero Scotch bonnet would be a great addition to the fold. With that said, let's leap into afters here. I know you got an early day of it tomorrow. We're going to ask a little bit more irreverent questions, a little bit more off the cuff. No one, again, has been injured in 151 episodes. I'm hoping you're not the first, but who knows? It could happen. Mitch Miller, I'm standing in your kitchen, and we're cooking together. What music are we listening to if you're picking the channel?
Traditionally, if it's something that I have just in my head that I'm just going with the flow with,
yeah,
and I already know the measurements and whatnot, most likely 80s and 90s country.
Okay.
If it's something that I am unfamiliar with, and I know I might be frustrated slightly, heavy metal.
No. Okay. Talk to me about the metal. What kind?
Well, anything from the 70s up until mid-2000s.
Okay.
Some of the new stuff is getting a little too screamy for me.
Yeah.
But I do like
the new metal, NU metal, right?
Yeah. Well, that's like Limp Bizkit style stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that would still be in the realm of what I would listen to.
All right.
More like Godsmacky type.
I got you.
The heavier.
Yep. I love it. Next question, a hypothetical situation. You're going to be stranded on a deserted island, and you can only bring 3 foods or food-type items with you. Inexhaustible supplies. They never run out through the magic of imagination. But you can only take 3 with you to this deserted island. What would they be and why?
Ooh, that's tough.
I know, man. You should have done your homework and listened to the show. You would have known this was coming, man.
Well, I'd have to say some type of beef. I am man, okay. I like meat.
Okay. Me man, like meat. Okay.
Yes. I might not be able to survive without my bacon, because, you know, I'm prissy like that. And probably oranges.
Oh, I love that.
Growing up in Florida, man, oranges, grapefruits. Just walk down the road, pick them off the neighbor's trees, and go to town.
I mean, survivalists, too, because, I mean, rickets, scurvy, all that shit that pirates used to catch, that's where citrus came in to fix them up, so, well done.
You can also use the oils and such for different things like fire starting and, you know, whatever else you decide to season.
See, I told you earlier tonight, I'm like, Mitch, you're way more of a man than I am because you don't set fire to things when you change their batteries. But there you go again. It's like, oh, you can use orange oil to light a fire. I'm here taking liner notes like, okay, if the apocalypse comes, Mitch said to buy oranges. I don't know why, but that's what he said. Okay, cool. Here's a bit of a darker one, but go with me. Melanie Denea had a coffee table book called My Last Supper, and in it there were 50 world-famous chefs. And each of them had one picture and the same questions asked of them. They did a follow-up book, the next course, another 50, same concept. And they're all asked questions surrounding. And if you worked in a restaurant, which I know you have, you're going to know this game. Your ticket's getting punched tomorrow. What are you eating? What are you drinking? Who's going to be there today? And why? So, Mitch Miller, I ask you, what is your last supper?
Well, since my little girl's only 4...
Oh, God, you got to pull the emotion card. Shit, don't do this to me, man. All right.
I'd probably have an imaginary tea party with her and be happy as a peach.
You son of a bitch. Don't you do that to me. Don't you do that to me. Don't you placate me. Oh, man. Oh, you're a jerk. All right, listen. I'm going to, for the first time in 151 episodes, all right. Okay, you're really not going to die, but if this were to be your last meal, what would you eat? God damn it. It took you to undo my format after all these years. Damn it. Oh my God, that's so... Oh, you're a jerk.
You know, I could really go for some good hot wings.
Nice. Okay, so wings? Wow.
Wings, a nice beer, and some pretzels.
I love it, man. But, I mean, tea party with your daughter is possibly, I don't mean disrespect to any, and I mean, listen, I've had a lot of people on here. Listen, 152 and beyond, you've got some ground to make up, because that was possibly the best answer ever. Ever. Good luck. Good luck to the lot of you. And finally, oh, you son of a bitch, man. I can't even focus now. I'm like, that was so good and so effortless. How did he just do that? He just derailed my whole show. Last question, the most basic but the most complex. What is food to you in a single word?
Love.
Absolutely. 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 And especially, again, I'm going to harp on this, man. You know, the answer to the last question, like, no shit, love. I mean, that's just it. That's incredible. As are you, sir. And, put your tray table up, seats into the upright position, because that's it, man. Mitch, I cannot thank you enough for hanging out with us here tonight. You are an absolute joy. I'm so glad to have met you, and I'm hoping that, like, this sauce, this mango habanero scotch bonnet, marries up with Island Harmony, and it just goes nuts from there, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, thank you so much, brother, for being here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 152 of the Coarse Grind. I'm still so goddamn stymied by the answer. I can't focus. Tea party with your daughter. That literally was the kick in the balls for me. Let me try this again. Hey, Mitch, thanks for being here. Okay, cool. You said you're welcome. Great. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 152 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. With me again this evening, the incredible journeyman himself, who lays down parental answers to basic questions, which renders a podcast host useless. Big Mitch Miller. Our producer, as always, has been the lovely, voluptuous Johnny Leland Robinson, a.k.a. the Reverend Johnny Lamoria. Be sure to check out all his libertarian podcast happenings, and be sure to check out the relaunch coming soon of The Pleasure Saucer. Next episode is going to be a little bit of wine with your beer. You will not want to miss it. Stay tuned. Are you passing through central Pennsylvania and looking for one of the best dining experiences and craft brew menus around? Look no further. Turkey Hill Brewing Company and 991 Central Road in Bloomsburg, PA has everything you could ask for and then some. Service, food, beer together. Unbelievable. Be sure to check them out. Call them today for reservations. 570-387-8422. Call today.